In this question, we are given that there is a company that manufactures and sells two products, P and Q. And the cost per unit of making and selling P and Q are $8 and $9.5 respectively. And the selling prices are $10 and $13 respectively. So, since there's a lot of data given in the question, let's note them down in a tabular form. So, the products we have here are P and Q, and their cost per unit given to us is $8 and $9.5 respectively. We also have the information about the selling price, which is equal to $10 and $13 respectively. Now we also have an information about the total number of units sold. So there are a total of 834 units that were sold. We have to find if the total profit on these items was more than $2,000. We have to check if profit was more than $2,000. Now, since there is no information about the number of units sold of P and Q separately, let's assume the number of units sold for Q to be X. Then the number of units of P that were sold will be equal to 834 minus X. Now, we can find out the profit per unit for P and Q respectively. So, we have profit per unit. Now, profit will be equal to the selling price minus cost price. So, for the profit for P will be 10 minus $8, which is $2, and the profit for Q will be 13 minus $9.5, which is $3.5. Then, profit will be equal to the profit per unit for P times the number of units sold for P, which is 834 minus X, plus the profit per unit of Q times the number of units, which is 3.5x. This gives us 1668 minus 2x plus 3.5x, which is equal to 1668 plus 1.5x. Now, according to the question, we have to check if this is greater than $2,000. Now, we can simplify this inequality and write it as 1.5x greater than 2000 minus 1668. Now 1.5 can be written as 3 by 2 times x greater than, and 2000 minus 1668 equals 332. On simplifying this, we get that x should be greater than 221 point something, because we just consider we just have to know the integer part of the number. Now, after doing the pre-analysis, let's move on to step 2 and analyze the statement 1. So the statement 1 tells us more units of P than Q were sold. Now, there is a case where the number of units of Q that was sold will be equal to 222, which is obviously greater than 221. Then the number of units of P that will be sold will be 612, because P is 834 minus X. Now, another possibility could be when the value of Q is 150 and the value of P is equal to 684. Now, in this case, the value of X is less, and we can conclude that in this case the profit will be less than $2,000. But in the first case, since the value of X or the number of units of Q that was sold was greater than 221, so the first case answers the question with a yes, that the profit will be greater than $2,000. Now, since we are getting two contradictory answers in both the two cases, we conclude that the statement 1 is not sufficient. From the given options, we eliminate options A and D. We now check the sufficiency of statement 2. The statement 2 tells us that during the month at least 100 units of Q were sold. Now in this case again there are different possibilities. The value of Q can be equal to 150, which will give us the value of P as 684. Now in this case, since Q is equal to 150, which is less than 221, we can say that the profit here will be less than $2,000. Another possibility is when the value of Q will be equal to 222, the value of P will be equal to 612, and we can say that in this case the profit was greater than $2,000. Now just like in statement 1, we are getting two contradictory answers, and the statement 2 is also not sufficient. Now in step 3, when we combine both the statements together, we can see that we have used the same values for P and Q for the two different cases. Hence we are sure that the two statements together also do not yield any result. So the correct answer is option E.